Why do people think it's bad or dangerous for kids to lift weights? And probably the most common one, which we will talk about, why do we think it stunts growth? I'll give you a spoiler alert, it doesn't. But where does this even all get started? Well, most of the time, there's a direct and simple reason, and in this case, it's no different. You have to go all the way back to the 1960s. A couple things to pay attention to. Number one, exercise science was not a field until really the 1960s and didn't really take off until the 70s and 80s. So upwards at that time, pediatric medicine also wasn't really much of a field. And so prior to the 1960s, we didn't have any information. And I think it's fair for parents and other leaders to be cautious about things when you have no data to go off of. And so from a starting default place, I think it was reasonable to say, we don't know if it's safe, therefore we're just going to assume it's not safe until shown otherwise. And that's an okay default position. More specifically here, the very first paper that shot this thing off was a really renowned study in this field that came out of Japan, again in the 1960s. And what it found was an association between kids who were involved in high amounts of hard labor being shorter in life. Now, the ability to look back at this, some 80 years later, obviously you can, in your head, and all of you astute scientists now are able to think, okay, wait a minute. What are probably some of the confounding factors that are associated with this? Kids doing a lot of hard labor, probably other things going on, malnutrition, environmental toxins, lots of other issues that are going to contribute to them not being as tall as they should have been. But at that time, it was an association, and again, no other information. They just assumed then that, even though, again, the study was not in strength training, to be really clear, there was just an association with hard manual labor in kids was going to stunt your growth. And that myth persisted for decades, mostly because we just didn't have any other information. 1970s, 1980s, there wasn't a lot of research, again, coming out on kids, not a lot of research at all, if any, on kids and strength training. By the time the 1990s came around, the National Strength and Conditioning Association, NSCA, I've spoken about this organization many, many times, the research was there. This organization was all over it, advocating for strength training. The science was coming out. And so now the general culture was, you can't really argue it's bad for kids anymore, but they weren't really strongly arguing that you have to go out and do it either. It was kind of just like well, it's okay. It's not as dangerous as we thought, so it's fine. But no one was really banging on the door to say, get kids in the weight room, get them to start lifting outside of the NSCA group. Things changed dramatically in 2008. At this point, there was enough data and research that it was really, really positive for kids. And so people had to start changing these policy statements. 2020, actually, a big update came from this policy stand, and now it is just inarguable that the benefits are not only small, but they are large, they are robust, and they cover a lot of different areas, and it is overall a fantastic and amazing activity for kids. If you enjoyed this clip, you can watch the full episode by clicking here.